Canyon Lake, and every year around this time the dewberries are in. There's a harvest you can pick. I first noticed dewberries when we moved out from San Antonio to Bulverde when I was a kid, and it was a lot of fun to like see these kind of wild blackberries just growing outside. And then I found out about this particular patch, which is a really good place to harvest, to forage, when I was living just like up the hill, right near the banks of Canyon Lake here. And for whatever reason, I always remember, I remember the date. It was like May 4th, about over 20 years ago, and I was in college at Texas State, and I was coming home from the last day of classes, and I don't remember why I stopped here on my way back up the hill home, but I stopped and I was just walking along the banks, and there were so many dewberries that were ripe. I was just like kind of blown away. So I got a bag and I picked a lot of them, like enough to make like a pie or something like that. And so every April I always think to come back here and check for the dewberries. With climate change, I've been trying to pay attention to whether they come out earlier. I thought maybe they would come out maybe a few weeks earlier than 20 years ago when they were ripe in early May, but they seem not to have come out. They seem not to be much earlier than they were. I came last week and it looked like mostly they were green and red, so they weren't quite ripe yet, so I came back this week. But what I did notice last week when we came, because I kind of thought, I had memories of like picking up where it's brushier, but I realized last week that they actually grow, it's a pretty kind of like narrow band that they grow in between the lake and the brushy areas, and I think that's because they grow in sandy soil. So the places where it's like really sandy, and like where the vegetation line is basically like up from the lake. So they grow in kind of like a narrow band, so that makes them easy to forage. Like you don't have to go like a huge range like down and up. I believe it's the same. I think they grow along the San Antonio River too. The street name Zarzamora, I'm pretty sure, is named for these kind of dewberries. And the window is always, you know, like the last weeks of April into early May.